Hello and welcome to another episode of CANA at Home. I am Maui and this is my wife Cheryl, and we are from CANA, Winnipeg, Canada. For those of you who have watched and followed the previous videos of CANA at Home, thank you very much for being part of this journey. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, we want to welcome you. This is another opportunity to spend time as a couple, to share in truth, and to work on deepening your love for each other.
This session will be divided into 3 parts. The first one is the introduction to the theme. Then we will offer you a time of reflection alone and a time of sharing as a couple. And finally, we will conclude with a prayer. We recommend that you make the best effort to be fully present. Avoid any distraction. Before we start, we take the time to prepare ourselves. You may want to close your eyes if that helps. Let's take the time to review the day as it unfolded. From the time I woke up in the bedroom, with the presence of my spouse, what was my mood today? The emotions I went through during the day, the people I've encountered. How do I feel right now? We may wish to put this aside and choose to get away from all this to make ourselves available for this moment of sharing with our spouse. To listen to each other, to talk to each other, and to pray together.
We continue the tour of the house and its parallels to our life as a couple. Previous videos took us to the structure of the house, then the living room, the kitchen, the bathroom, and today, we're going into the bedroom and discuss the theme of intimacy in the life of the couple. The bedroom is an important place in the house. It has a strong symbolic meaning. It is a location for bridal bed, a place where mystery of life unfolds. The bedroom is the architectural expression of our desire for privacy. If the house is the space of intimacy of the family relative to the outside world, the bedroom is the place of the intimacy of the couple and of the individual relative to the family. This is where we sleep, a place for a moment of solitude, relax fully, or to spend a quiet moment. This is where we usually start our day and where we end our day.
For the couple, the bedroom symbolizes the importance of revealing ourselves, not just physically, but our whole being to our spouse. Every morning as we wake up, we are reminded of the sacred covenant and marriage vow that we made to each other as a couple, to be faithful, to honor and respect each other, and to be fruitful. The bedroom is a holy place where our bodies unite, our hearts and our minds unite. This is where we give and gift ourselves fully to our spouse, and where we also receive our spouse in sincerity, in purity, and in transparency. As a couple, we work together in unity to transform this bedroom into a safe, healthy, loving, nurturing, and God-centered place where we can grow into holiness individually and strengthen and deepen our intimacy and our bond as a couple.
Yes, the bedroom is the place of our intimacy as a couple. So what is intimacy? Intimacy is the expression of an intimate relationship where each person feels more safe, whole, and accepted through the couple's experience of making love. A helpful way to think about intimacy is to note, it sounds like into me, see. See what's inside me. To be intimate is to enter into my spouse's life and to have him or her get into my life. It is to share that joy of discovering each other. Intimacy is demanding since it requires sharing, transparency, reciprocity, which implies vulnerability. The intimate relationship is desired by God. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 27, So God created humankind in His image. In the image of God, He created them. Male and female, He created them. God saw everything that He had made. Indeed, it was very good. Therefore, a man and a woman in their relationship, in the depth of their loving relationship, are the image of God. In Genesis 2, verse 24, therefore a man leaves his father and his mother and clings to his wife, and they become one flesh. One can read the natural desire that brings man and woman to one another, that tremendous potential for intimacy. And this intimacy brings joy and fulfillment to the couple. Gary Chapman, in his book Covenant Marriage, he describes 4 areas on where the couples can grow their intimacy. One is emotional intimacy, intellectual intimacy, sexual or physical intimacy, spiritual intimacy. First of all, emotional intimacy is about expressing our emotions and sharing them with our spouse. It is not always easy to say or express how we feel, as it can require effort. Some of us may even struggle with our own emotions. And yet, it is a magnificent gift when we are able to feel safe to express to our spouse our feelings and emotions, our deepest fears, frustrations, joys, desires, and our fulfillments. One simple way of improving our emotional intimacy is to spend time together and ask each other, "How are you feeling today, my dear? Share with me the 3 important moments of your day and how did you live those moments?"
To improve our emotional intimacy, it is also important that each of us takes care and fulfill each other's emotional needs. Because when it is satisfied and met, it provides a feeling of joy, deeper connection with each other, and contentment. However, when these emotional needs are not met, it could create tension and loneliness. There are different types of emotional needs. The first one is the need to be loved. The need to feel love in words and in actions. Do you feel love when your spouse gives you a gift, or help you with household chores, or praise you for what you've done or how you look, or spend quality time with you? Or do you feel love when your spouse holds your hands, hugs, and kiss you? Gary Chapman's book on 5 languages of love talk about these needs. Because we are different individuals, our need to be loved can be defined in different ways. Take the time to get to know yourself and get to know each other, and then work together to fulfill these needs. It may not be 100% each time, but every effort matters.
As I get to know Cheryl more, I discovered that her love languages are quality of time and physical touch. She feels love when we spend time together, going out on a date, and holding hands and having deep conversation. Another important type of emotional need is the need to be respected. How do you talk with each other? How do you treat each other? In Proverbs 15, verse 1, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Do we listen to each other and respect each other's views? Are we providing undivided attention when our partner wants to share and say something to us?
And another type of emotional need is the need to be appreciated and valued. It is a great feeling to be recognized for not only what we do, but also appreciating and valuing us for who we are. A simple thank you, a hug, and a kiss can go a long way. Every time we feel loved, respected, and valued, we experience that emotional intimacy. When we respond to our spouse's emotional needs, we take a decisive step towards intimacy and we become more connected to our spouse.
Intellectual intimacy, the second place of unveiling, is that of our thoughts. Intellectual intimacy is about having that comfort and closeness in a relationship where the couple is free to talk and share with each other their dreams, aspirations in life, their ideas, hobbies, interests, views, and even their darkest secrets without feeling of being judged. If emotional intimacy is about unveiling what is in our hearts, intellectual intimacy is about unveiling what is in our minds to our spouse. Intellectual intimacy is not only just talking about common interests that we share with our spouse, but also welcoming those views that may not be the same. For what interests us both is easy. We can see that our sharing gives rise to passionate discussions that thrills us both. But those topics that we may not share commonly as a couple, it may be challenging at first, but this will also give us an opportunity to get to know each other and go deeper in our conversation. Accepting and respecting each other's view can give rise to an intellectual intimacy.
When Maui and I first met, there was this unexplainable feeling of ease and comfort that was created between us, which enabled us to talk freely about anything under the sun. We talked for hours, not noticing the time. The bond was instantly formed and the trust was built, which brought us closer to each other. During our married life, we later found ourselves becoming busy with career, children, church, and community. Our conversation revolved mainly around schedules of the day, activities and responsibilities and commitments. These are all good and fulfilling, but over time, we realized there was something missing in our married life. As Maui said, my love language is quality time. Although we're both faithful, respectful, and caring with one another, I started to miss our deep conversation and felt that we were growing apart. We praise God that we recognized and realized it sooner. We knew that we had to do something. We participated in CANA Retreat, which opened up the space where Maui and I can refocus on each other, and we can prioritize again our couple. This renewed us and rekindled our intimacy as a couple.
The third area of intimacy is the sexual or physical intimacy. No married life without sexual intimacy or physical intimacy. There are many encouragement for the union of bodies in the Bible. One can think of the Song of Songs, tales of ecstatic love. In Deuteronomy 24 verse 5 describes a rule which exempted a young man who had just married from going to the army for a year to be happy with the wife whom he has married. Or in Paul, in 1 Corinthians chapter 7 verse 5, do not deprive one another. We are therefore invited to a great feast through the union of our bodies. We are made for joy and continue to celebrate this joy not only on our wedding day, but all throughout our married life. Joy is not only spiritual, our bodies are made to live this joy.
However, physical intimacy does not revolve only on sex. It also involves the display of and expressing of our love and affection towards each other through physical touch, holding hands, cuddling, hugging, and giving each other massage. It is a desire to be close with each other physically. How do we show tenderness to our spouse? Having a healthy communication and talking openly with your spouse about sexual and physical intimacy is critical in relationship. Assess what area of sexual intimacy is working well for your couple and what area needs improvement. Assumption and mind readings could cause pain and misunderstanding. We must also accept that there may be moments when expectations are not met. And in order to overcome this, both members of the couple should commit themselves to move on, to understand without judgment, and to forgive each other. And sometimes it's also good to introduce humor into our intimacy because it can take the pressure off.
Mm-hmm. In order to increase our physical intimacy, love and sexual act cannot be dissociated so that the feast can be shared. There's even a talk of chastity in the couple, and this is a word whose meaning is often misused. Chastity does not mean abstaining from or depriving oneself of sexual relations. Chastity is about orienting our sexual intimacy towards the relationship, not to experience the sexual act in order to seek my own pleasure, but in a logic of love, of self-giving, considering the good of the other. Chastity calls for faithfulness, where each commits to their spouse as their source and one and only source of romance. This is the true meaning of chastity in a married life: respect and faithfulness for each other. And this does not exclude pleasure, far from it.
The bedroom is therefore that place where the members of the couple give themselves to each other, the place where they become one flesh, the place for the growth of unity. The fourth aspect of unveiling to make our intimacy grow is that of the spiritual life. The spiritual is the place of our deepest being, of our soul, of our relationship with God. Spiritual intimacy may not come as naturally for some couples. We may think that our relationship with God is something very personal. That is our secret garden. It is true. But it is by opening this secret garden to our spouse that we can increase our intimacy.
Sharing about our relationship with God implies great humility, a great vulnerability, as we are never as small as before God. As a couple, we may not be in the same place spiritually. However, we are invited to progress in this spiritual intimacy by choosing to accompany each other, like the pilgrims to Emmaus, so that each of us can grow spiritually. As we get closer in our relationship with God, we too, as a couple, become closer to each other.
We can grow our spiritual intimacy as a couple by praying together, interceding for our families, our friends, for our relationship. It could also be reading the daily gospel and sharing our reflection with our spouse. It could also be sharing our thoughts about an aspect of Christian life and listening attentively to our spouse. For some of you who may have seen the previous video of CANA Home, the kitchen, Tony and Victoria taught us the covenant prayer by standing before the Lord together, saying thank you, sorry, and please. Prayer as a couple is good for our unity as a couple, and it bears fruit that goes beyond us. It is often said that the couple's intercessory prayer is far greater than the sum of the individual prayer of each member of the couple.
We have seen the 4 dimensions of our intimacy as a couple: emotional, intellectual, sexual, and spiritual intimacy. These 4 aspects of intimacy nourish and complement each other, just like the 4 legs of the bed in our bedroom. It is important to take care of their balance, otherwise the bed risks being wobbly or a little squeaky.
In addition to bedroom and its significance to intimacy of the couple, we can also look at the other symbolic significance of the bedroom as a place that witnesses the transformations of life at its major stages. The bedroom can also be considered as the place of return to life. Several biblical passages suggest this. In the Gospel of Matthew 8:14 to 15, Peter's mother-in-law was healed by Jesus in the bedroom. In the first book of Kings, chapter 7, Elijah brings the widow's son back to life in his bedroom. We see here a real word of encouragement. By taking care of our intimacy as a couple, which is symbolized by our bedroom, we can nurture life in our couple. We can heal each other and even be reborn to life.
We now come to the heart of this session, the moment of sharing as a couple. This is a precious gift you give each other, to spend time together to increase your intimacy. We propose that you spend 10 minutes alone to reflect on the questions, then meet as a couple and spend the next 20 minutes for sharing time. One speaks, the other listens. We share from the I perspective. Take turns, listen without interruption or judging. Be open and invite the Holy Spirit to guide your conversation. We'll meet again in 30 minutes.
Here are the 3 questions that we propose to you. What is my need for intimacy with you? Which aspects of intimacy are working well in our couple, and where do I see we need to improve on? What allows me to be available or what prevents me from being available in our bedroom for our intimacy? How is our spiritual intimacy as a couple? What would I like to develop in this area? We invite you to make a decision as a couple and write it down.
Welcome back. We hope that you both had a good time and that you were able to share in truth. The subject of our intimacy can be difficult to address. Think about it gently and give yourself time. It'll be good if you can come back to these subjects in the days or weeks to come. But for now, we can now conclude our session with a prayer of blessing. Blessing consists in saying good things to each other, in thanking God for all that is good in our spouse. We will take a few seconds to be silent. We propose that you reflect on this work sculpted by Auguste Rodin entitled The Kiss.
In our hearts, we can ask the Lord for the grace to seek unity in our intimacy. We can turn to each other. Each in turn, we will address words of blessing to our spouse. Maui, I give thanks to God for your wisdom, for your generosity, for your honesty, for your faithfulness, and for bringing Christ's light into my life.
Cheryl, I give thanks to God for your love, for your joyful heart, for your patience, for the support, and for the encouragement that you give me.
Then we can say together, looking at each other, the blessing that Moses teaches Aaron in the book of Numbers in chapter 6. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you. May he take you in grace. May the Lord turn his face towards you. May he bring you peace. We are coming to the end of our session, and we invite you to join us again next time for the next episode on the theme of the entrance to the house. For those who watch us on YouTube, the chat is open during the song.
Please do not hesitate to share your prayer intentions on the comment section. We will be happy to pray for you.
We wish you a meaningful day ahead. Take care of yourself and your intimacy.
God bless.
Lord bless you and keep you.
Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you.
Lord turn his face towards you
And give you peace.
The Lord bless you and keep you.
Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Lord, turn his face toward you and give you peace. Amen. 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 His favor be upon you and 1,000 generations,
and your family, and your children, and their children, and their children.
May His favor be upon you and 1,000 generations,
And your family, and your children,
and their children, and their children. May His favor be upon